I thought I'd share with you one or two things. I had a lot of fun doing physics and astronomy and flying balloons and getting lost and chasing balloons into Nepal and all over India and discovering India. But that wasn't cosmic rays. And I think a lot of wonderful thing happens to you when you are doing something else. And they are very, very important. You probably have found out slightly as to what I did after many years of cosmic rays and high energy physics, which I still interested in. I was launched out and sort of tempted by Vikram Sarabhai and others to see if we could explore the possibility that space age was coming. If you have an antenna which is very high, then a signal from that antenna can reach a long distance. And if it's as high as the spacecraft satellite, then of course you can cover a large part of the world with that signal. It wasn't always there. Arthur Clarke, he gave this suggestion in 1945. And our program came around 1960. And so Vikram Sarabhai thought, why don't we try to do something and reach all parts of India very quickly by going into space broadcasting, space communication, rather than wait for microwave links and wires to be strung all across the place. People thought it was silly for a country like this to go into something which had not really been done anywhere at all. For example, nobody had done any television broadcasting till that time. Satellite, through using satellite. And so anyway, I must be doing something wrong. They don't like we're doing this. So we had an agreement with NASA. They were building a satellite, and we suggested that we could put a transponder on that, and through which we could broadcast television programs for a few hours a day, which could cover India. And would they please work with us together? Let us put a transponder on that, and secondly, they're welcome to join us in this experiment. And we would like to put receiving sets in a few thousand villages, most separated villages of the country, and see whether you could do any communication and whether it had any effect. So it was a technological experiment and also a sociological experiment, a great magnitude. To be sitting in Ahmedabad and Delhi and to talk to Bastar and all Andhra Pradesh, so you don't know their language, you don't know what the problems are, you know what to do. And so it was a real, very important technological plus sociological experiment. When I got into this, I also happened to start a center called Space Application Center in Ahmedabad. It was the application center of the Indian Space Research Organization, and one of the responsibilities, the first one, was to try to do this experiment. We were very badly prepared. We had nothing, no equipment, nothing at all. The only hot chamber we had was putting the equipment out in the sun, and the cold chamber was an old refrigerator to test the equipment on which was being designed. But it was done. And I don't want to go into all the other aspects, the troubles which we went through. 17-year-old material, not 17-year-old, 19, 20, 21-year-old people working with us. And essentially challenged to design equipment for receiving television signals, which has not been done anywhere. There were no transponders, there were no receivers, low noise amplifiers anywhere in the world. We couldn't get them from any place. And they had to be designed and built here. But then came side by side the real issue and problem of to find out what to say. I want to make sure that I don't receive it right. Somebody do this and I And I want to share with you, and I think it has an importance. I personally took the responsibility of trying to design science program for children. I took this responsibility because everybody said, well, you are the scientist among us and you better try to find out what to do. But I'd always believed that science is done through experiments. You must do things, that's the way you learn science. But I've gone through hundreds of villages all across the country. Incidentally, we were in a few thousand villages where we had installed the direct receptors and antennas and so on. And very few schools, no school practically had a TV set. No school had, very few schools had even blackboards, no electricity, no equipment of any kind where they could do experiments. So what science program were you going to do? And this became a real challenge. I think it would be wonderful for you to start thinking about this, what challenge, how do you meet a challenge like this? For a couple of weeks I was completely lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to cheat people just by talking about science when they have done nothing and nothing around. And then one night, I think that was fantastic, I sat down and wrote a credo for preparing science program for children. And the credo was to help children realize that science is everywhere. You can do science in the kitchen, there's science around your bicycle, around the flag, around the bullock cart, the village pond, flying kites, all manner of things. And if you begin to do this, and if you can possibly design programs for it than anybody else. The question was how to design programs like that. And that's why, again, I went around to all my friends the world over and said, this is what we want to do. We want some ideas as to what science programs can be done on this basis. And then we got some fresh television producers coming out of the Film Institute, young people who got excited about this. We put them in the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, and put them there means mostly in their wonderful canteen and lunchroom, and interact with all the other people who knew a little bit of science, that around this you have to make some briefs for making programs and finally go ahead and make the program. Look at that. But where do you make the program? Where are the TV sets? We didn't have any TV studios in Ahmedabad where I was. We had no equipment. So I called up a friend in Bombay. She was the education officer of the Bombay Municipal Corporation. We'd been doing some work together with the Bombay Municipal Corporation in their school. Can you give me those 2 rooms for a year? So whatever for, anything for you, Yash, but whatever for. I don't want to make a studio there. I want to make a studio because I want to work together with TIFR, which is very close by, and we want to make science program for children. So there's anything for you. those rooms were available. I sent my controller to Bombay the same night to set up the studio with the equipment by the same day. And friends in the film area in Mumbai, Satya, because I met Satya, I said, Satya, I have to, this room which has to be converted into a studio. And they say you have to put a cyclorama. I don't know where to get it. How do we get it? What do you do? He said, okay, wait, yes, and they went somewhere. There were people who used to make knitting machines or something, put them back to back, and they produced cyclorama. It was put there. A lot of bright, wonderful people from Film Institute, these people, everyone, and the scientists, young people from TIFR working together and trying to make programs, and programs were produced, and they were based on the environment which children had around them, and I think it turned out to be rather successful. Now this beginning, this kind of thing, it was a very intense period. And this, in a way, I think about this, has become part of my general philosophy as I work in education. We have had, for example, for a while, a lot of work done on curriculum framework in schools. And the National Curriculum Framework, of which I happened to be chairman of that group, 2005, recognized one thing, that all true learning is done by the person who learns and not, it is not delivered, it is created. Teachers are not courier agents to deliver education. Education must be created. So it has to be different, it's created by different children, by themselves. And this changed the whole idea. The textbooks have been changed, the world over is being changed and so on. But the important thing is that if you want to learn something, then you must incorporate what you have been learning and thinking about around you as a part of the learning. It doesn't have to be a carbon copy of somebody's curriculum prepared somewhere else. It has to be curriculum created around your life. And then you construct knowledge. Every child constructs knowledge. And then you really know and don't only memorize. And if you do that, then you get away from this cultural influences from elsewhere. You don't have to copy anybody. Everybody becomes a creator. And everybody becomes a person like you, America. And this is, if we can turn education in that direction, then we can create fantastic people. We don't kill the creativity. And then after that I've had an opportunity to work on what do we do about our universities. I was on the committee and they have a report. Essentially, we find, this is the second point which is very important, that not only in our country, more in our country than elsewhere, but around the world, one of the great problems is that we are creating a lot of experts who don't know anything about other subjects many of them. Our IITs are wonderful institutions, but they train largely engineers who are illiterate in all the other aspects of humanities and social sciences, and they're very little connected and they can't deal with it. And unless you can live in an environment you can deal with the whole of this, you are not truly educated. And so we suggested we must dig holes in the walls of IITs and convert them into proper universities. No university is great unless it has essentially possibility of getting into any other discipline also. You may hear, you may have a student, you may learn from him a little bit, because then you can branch out and do all kinds of things which you otherwise won't do. So IITs at the moment are very good engineering schools, they're not great universities. In order to become, they have to become. Same way, large number of institutes which have come up in engineering, in management, in all kinds of things in the country, very large number. They are not really creating great education. They are not creating great universities where people can fly and get entirely new ideas. And you can't create Harvard and MIT like this. You can take a business school, you can take an engineering school like MIT and convert it into a university, but you can't really put them here and there, a nice front office, polished front office, and nothing else except a few few computers and few things lying around. That's not great education. So, just some aspects that I was talking to 2 or 3 of you wonderful people out there before coming in, and it occurred to me to give it to you. I interact a lot with children through press, through media, through various things, through TV and so on. And I've had discussions very often with them that you can get very good marks if you just mug up and give a very nice exam. But you can understand something and get reasonably good marks, but you don't get 95 or 100 out of 100, you will get 70 or 60. So which is preferable? Understanding is better, but I said, tell me what's the difference? You usually measure it only by marks. Ultimately, you find that the real difference is that when you understand, you get joy, pleasure, personal pleasure. You find that you are enhanced, that you have truly understood, because then you can turn the knowledge into any direction and combine it with many others. But if you're mugged up and got good marks in the exam, you fool yourself, and you fool others also, that you've done that. That goes on, and we have to somehow change that. I'll end by giving one of my recent experiences. A year and a half ago, I had cancer. I used to smoke a pipe. And I smoked a pipe for 60 years, continuously. 12 hours, 18 hours a day. Enjoyed it tremendously. Arogya and esophagus campus, chemotherapy and radiation. So in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And I've been trying to persuade the medical institute that the medicine can also be taught, the essence of medicine, in ordinary universities. Very nice one. And in fact, all universities should have every field. There should be medicine, there should be engineering, there should be philosophy, there should be psychology. You don't have to do everything, but you should have people over tea or coffee, you can talk about it. And then you really have possibility of doing new things. So I said that I've been conscious of the fact that we don't do this very often. And so I had given a lecture 20 years ago, in 1991, 1992, at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, And the topic of the lecture was, why must we remain so utterly cubical? Education is not done in cubicles. If you try to do education in cubicles, you just say, you become a cubicle expert. You don't get truly educated who can go out freely and roam the world and do new things. And so I said, in that lecture, I spent a lot of time saying that if only I, 20 years ago, had a lot of experience of sitting next to a brain surgeon or somebody who knew a lot about what's happening, maybe I, along with some other friends, I would have invented the PET scan, which said, how do you say? And I'll tell you the story of how PET scan was invented. I happened to meet this man who did that. He was a psychiatrist. He didn't know any about electronics. He didn't know anything about nuclear physics. He didn't know anything about those things. But he said he wants to look inside the brain, what is thinking. And how to look inside the brain was the real issue. And so he talked to biochemists, he talked to biologists, he talked to physicists, he talked with nuclear physicists all over, and finally they decided ultimately what you used to do with carbon-14, if you put there a positron emitting fluorine nucleus as a part of the glucose which is fed, and then do this, then you would find that the positrons are emitted, they annihilate with electrons, they produce gamma rays which go back to back, you go get various lines. So you can locate the exact point where things are happening, where glucose is being consumed, and so action is going on. And I said, do you have a PET machine? I gave this talk and I asked you, how long will it take to be able to set up a group like that to invent a PET machine in All India Institute of Medical Sciences? It said, maybe 10 years, we don't know. I said, do you have one now? I said, yeah, we got it 5 years ago, we paid $1 million. We got it, it's being used, it's very nice. So I said, I like a PET scan to be done on me. I think I'm improving, I'd like to see what's happening. They did a PET scan. And sure enough, they found that I was getting all right, but inside my esophagus, that there was one spot which was shining bright, which still had a lot of cancer sitting there, but it seemed to be going. So I said, it seems to be going, let's do it again. They did it again after a month, it was much less, and then again, it was all gone. So in a way I told them how to treat me by using a technology which they were not, they didn't invent, and they didn't know it could be used for this purpose. Now, this is the kind of thing which novel didn't happen. So they said, can we use your lecture notes of that time which you gave here? Our students are asking to teach our students, because of various other things which involve physics, electronics, and computer science processing, in addition to your knowledge, was part of it, but of a kind where it could be done in a technical institute and broaden its capabilities. And so they took my notes and started distributing them, and I don't know what happens afterwards. But I got a very special pleasure to become an agent of a different kind to help try to help change the atmosphere within a very technical institute. Thank you very much.